Good afternoon. Call to order City Council meeting scheduled for today, March 28, 2024.
Like me to pray?
Nope. Can I?
Roll call first.
There we go.
One day.
Ms. Adams, roll call.
Certainly. Mayor Clea McCaw,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Carolyn Humphrey,
Present.
Councilmember William Benning,
Present.
Councilmember Gregory Johnson,
Present.
Councilmember Angelica Landry,
Present.
Councilmember Marta Messmer,
Present.
Councilmember Mark Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll have an invocation by Pastor Justin McPeak of the Thunder Mountain Community Church. Sir, would you please rise?
I'll go ahead and pray. Feel free to pray with me. Father, I thank you for today, and I thank you for this moment to be here and to encourage. And I pray tonight through all the proceedings, through the conversations that happen, that you give wisdom and guidance to the people that you've placed in authority and responsibility, and you've given them leadership. I ask that they'd have favor with people. People would know that they are for this city, and that you would give them wisdom and insight as they need to make these decisions. I thank you for how good you are, and I pray this weekend, as this is approaching Easter weekend, that those you're connecting, that you would allow each of us to connect with you the way that you desire us to. And I thank you for how good you are and how much you love your people and this city, and help us all, communicate to us all how we are to work for its good. I thank you, and I pray all this, Jesus, in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Tonight we have the pleasure of having Girl Scout troops Brownie 419, Junior 104, and Cadet Senior 1224, and they will lead us in our pledge on this afternoon.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent job. Thank you, Pastor McPeak. And you may have your seats. And we'll go to acceptance of agenda. Councilwoman Messmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda for the regular city council meeting of March 28, 2024 be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Are there any questions, comments? Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? And we'll move to our next items. Next item, we have a proclamation for this afternoon declaring March 12th through the 18th of 2024 as the 112th year of the Girl Scouts in the United States of America. Yeah.
Good thing, especially National Women Month.
The proclamation reads as such. Whereas, Girl Scouts of the USA is the largest leadership organization for girls in the world, and the number of Girl Scouts has grown over 2.7 million members. And whereas, Girl Scouting helps girls develop their full individual potential, related to others with increasing understanding, skill, and respect, and provide a foundation for sound decision-making. And whereas Juliet Gordon Lowe organized the first Girl Scout troop on May the 12th, 1912, and the first Girl Scout cookie sale took place in 1917. And whereas this year marks the 107th year since the Girl Scout cookie program began and celebrates the 112th anniversary of the Girl Scouts in the USA. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Clea McCaw, Mayor of the City of Sierra Vista, Arizona, do hereby proclaim March 10 through 16 of 2024 Girl Scout Week in and for the City of Sierra Vista, in witness whereof I hereto set my hand in the great seal of the City of Sierra Vista to be affixed this 28th day of March, the year of our Lord, 2024, in the independence of the United States, 247. Clea McCaw, Mayor. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to the Girl Scout troops, Brownie 419, Junior 104, and Cadet Senior 1224 for coming out. And also thank you, Pastor McPete, for the invocation. Thank you, sir. And we'll go to our city manager report. Sir.
Thank you, Mayor McCaw, members of the council. First, I wanted to mention that a number of us were able to attend the Cochise Conservation and Recharge Network strategic planning session yesterday. Though we haven't really talked about water a lot here recently, it's an ongoing issue and always will be. And this is one of the key groups that's in charge of looking at projects that help both the river and the fort. And I think we'll have a pretty good 5-year plan to come out of that. And we're working, of course, with our partners from Fort Huachuca, Cochise County, and Bureau of Land Management in that regard. The sewer SR 90 sewer reroute project, those bids are due tomorrow, and we'll let you know where they came in at next week when we get those numbers. The annual street maintenance project was awarded to K&G. We'll get that list of streets out to you and the public as soon as possible. And we're awaiting the start date, but that contract was signed March 25th. The feasibility study for the space reentry port at Sierra Vista Municipal Airport in support of Black Star Orbital was awarded March 26, 2024 to the firm of Launch on Demand. So hopefully that will result favorably, and then we'll move towards the permitting process for a spaceport reentry at the airport. I also want to mention we had a number of retirements here. First, last Friday, we celebrated the retirement of Deputy Chief Boutte, and he will be absolutely missed at the police department after 27 years of service with the city. And we just came from the retirement ceremony for Coralie Knippel, a kennel tech out at Animal Control, and much beloved by those she worked with and worked for out there. Just upcoming meetings. Your next regularly scheduled work session is scheduled for the 9th of April, 3 p.m. here in the council chambers, and that will be our first budget work session, and that will include our preliminary revenue projections as well as our projected debt service numbers for the year. Following that will be personnel and then O&M and capital in succession. And then your next regularly scheduled council meeting is scheduled for April 11th, 5 p.m., also here in the council chambers. And finally, I want to wish everybody a happy and blessed Easter weekend, and be safe out there. Thank you, Mayor McCaw.
Thank you, sir. Are any questions, comments for our city manager? Thank you. We proceed on. Item number 2, Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Take a deep breath here. Mr. Mayor, I move that the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of March 12th, 2024, March 14th, 2024 special meeting, and regular meeting minutes and resolution 2024-014, appointment of Richard Rhodes to the Sierra Vista Transportation Commission, said term to expire April 30th, 2026, be approved.
Second. Been properly moved and second. Yes, sir.
I just got a procedural question. If I wasn't at the work session March 12, 2024, do we have to make a motion to put 2.1 out of the consent agenda to vote separate since I can't vote?
Did you not listen to it over the, I thought you listened to that.
No,
one.
I couldn't even
Oh,
get
okay.
connected.
Um,
I
if-
watched it afterwards, but
If you want to abstain on only that item, then it would have to be removed and voted on separately. Or you can vote for it
okay,
if you like.
I'm fine with voting for it.
Okay. Trust Maria. They're right.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Jill.
It'll be okay.
Are there any other questions? Ready for the vote? All those in favor? Thank you. Go to our public hearings. Councilwoman Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2024-015, a multi-license acquisition of control for a Series 12 liquor license for Andrea Dahlman Lukowitz, on behalf of RMH Franchise Corporation doing business as Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Staff report. Ms. Adams.
Mayor McCaw, members of council, as moved, this application is for a multi-license acquisition of control for a restaurant liquor license. Restaurant liquor licenses are not commonly transferable, but when it is an acquisition of control and merely a corporate shakeup, they do allow for this, and that's why this is allowed for a restaurant liquor license. This is for several Applebee's throughout the state, but particular to us is ours out by the mall. The notice of this public hearing was posted on the facility in excess of the required 20 days, and we have received no comments, pro or con. We did request, and the police department did a background on the applicant and has no objection to this license acquisition moving forward. And if approved tonight, it will be returned to the state tomorrow, and they will do the final action on it.
All right, any questions, comments for Ms. Adams? Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? No. Go to our next item. Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, I move that Resolution 2024-016, authorizing and directing the city attorney to take such actions, including the retention of outside counsel, to set aside the liens recorded against the city of Sierra Vista by Edwin Groover, be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Staff report. Sir.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As was briefed Tuesday at the work session, this item is to authorize the city attorney's office to take action against Edwin Groover. Edwin Groover is a Cochise County resident who in January of this year recorded 2 liens against the city. Neither of these liens have any basis in law or fact. They're groundless. But absent a voluntary retraction by Mr. Groover, the city has to take legal action against him to have these set aside and removed from the city's chain of title. And so approving this resolution tonight would authorize the city attorney's office to take that action against Mr. Groover, including the retention of outside counsel as appropriate.
All right. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
And also, City Attorney, will we be pursuing damages against Mr. Groover for filing fees and so forth, and attorney's fees as well?
Yes, good question, Mayor. Councilmember Johnson. Yes, the statute that authorizes these types of actions also includes monetary penalties and awards of attorney's fees if successful. Yes.
Okay, I think the taxpayers want to know that.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for our city attorney? Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. It is passed. Go to our next item, Councilman Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2024-017, approving certain changes in the proceedings of the Industrial Development Authority of the City of Sierra Vista regarding the issuance of its education facility revenue bonds, Champion Schools Project Series 2024, in an amount not to exceed $35 million be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Sir, good to see you.
Good to see you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I am Michael Slaney on behalf of the Sierra Vista Industrial Development Authority, and we are here asking for an amendment to your previously approved resolution authorizing the proceedings. This reflects, as previously indicated, and as noted in the resolution, merely a change in the name of the firm doing the underwriting. The person who was working with the school left one firm and moved to another firm, and of course the change to designate from 2023 to 2024, so it's accurately reflected in the bond proceedings. Nothing else about the proceeding has changed. With your permission and with your direction today, if granted, they will proceed with a official statement, an offering document, to proceed with the bond issue. As a reminder, all of the proceedings of the Sierra Vista IDA do not result in any credit or analysis and no financial risk to the city or to the Sierra Vista IDA. Happy to answer any questions.
I like what you said, no financial risk. All right, any questions, comments for Mr. Salinas? All right, thank you, sir. Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, sir. This passed. Next item, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that ordinance 2024-003, adoption of proposed development code text amendments, administrative modification of dimensional standards with section 151.04.005 be approved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Staff report, Mr. McLaughlin.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, so this ordinance puts into effect the development code changes that were previously considered on February 8th and put out for a 30-day comment period. No feedback has been received to date. The essence of the proposal is to provide for an administrative modification to residentially zoned properties that adjoin a platted right-of-way that exceeds the minimum required right-of-way width under the development code. Essentially, the amount of the reduction would be proportionate with the space between the owner's property line and the back of the sidewalk, which functions as de facto yard space. If there's no sidewalk, we would determine its ultimate location based on the applicable cross-section. The Planning and Zoning Commission did consider these amendments and unanimously recommended approval. Staff recommends adoption as proposed. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions, comments for Mr. Mayor? All right, everybody ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Now we have a call to the public. We have one call to the public, and Mr. William Indelcato. Sir? Yes, sir. So, sir, you have 5 minutes. You'll see a light here. It'll be green. When your time has expired, it'll be red. And once it's red, we'll ask you to conclude your comments. Thank you, sir. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much.
She's going to raise it for you.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, council members, staffers, and members of the public. Thank you for taking time to listen to my perspective. My name is William Delicato, and I serve as the chair of the Sierra Vista Transportation Commission, as well as an active community member of the Environmental Stewardship Commission. I'm a husband, a father, and an active duty service member stationed here at Fort Huachuca. Recently, I've heard the perspective that our public transit system is unprofitable and a burdensome expense to our city. To the amount of $400,000, our city is subsidizing our public transit network. And the answer is yes, that is the cost of the system. But the perspective is only looking at it from one side. When an item costs a system, whether it be a city or a company, but does not return profits, it is known as an economic liability. Most of what the government, whether it is local or national, involves liabilities. The exception is the tax base, which is your economic asset. I can speak for my profession as a military member because as much financial support as the military receives, we have never turned a profit. But bringing the discussion a little closer to home, there is another economic liability that often gets overlooked. For as much debate people have about public transit earning an income, our roads do not turn a profit. Both new construction and maintenance of roads are economic liabilities. The counter to that argument often centers around the view that cars are a source of freedom and an economic driver. I would like to give some facts to this discussion. The average annual expense for a car is $10,000. Put another way, when a city is physically structured so that citizens have to use cars to go anywhere, each citizen is burdened with a $10,000 tax just to move around and exist within our city. The burden is felt more acutely by our poor and marginalized populations and those who are unable to drive, including our youth, our elderly, and our disabled. But going back to the aspect of economic liabilities, these items are undertaken to provide a return on investment, whether for a company or for a city. According to the American Public Transportation Association, for every $1 invested in public transit, it generates between $3 and $6 of economic returns. By comparison, the average return for every dollar our highway investment is only 28 cents, mainly from our trucking industry, according to the National Highway Administration. Businesses located near transit stops see an increased consumer base and larger profits, which in turn yield an increased tax base. When employees have access to public transit, they show increased productivity, and businesses have access to a broader and more diverse hiring pool. People with mobility issues, whether elderly or impaired citizens, or youth without the ability to drive, now have freedom of movement to reach stores, clinics, schools, and workplaces. By comparison, auto-centric development costs cities more than it returns and creates unpleasant and needless sprawl. Recent national development patterns have yielded 60 to 80% of our land use to roads and parking lots, and a large component of that is and a large component of when cities declare bankruptcy is due to these ongoing maintenance costs. So yes, the public transit system does cost our city money and our citizens. It's about 0.2% of our annual budget. But the returns to our city, including a more productive tax base, improvements to our health, and benefits to our environment and climate are overwhelmingly positive. Imagine if we returned to a more traditional development patterns and started creating more human-scaled environments. Public transit and walkable environments have the potential to create a more equitable and inclusive spaces within our city, and are always a good investment for us to take on. Thank you, members of staff, city council, and you, Mayor, for listening to my perspective this evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Major. Good to see you again. And thank you for serving. Thank you, sir. So we'll close out the call to the public. No more call to the public? No, that's not. Oops. All right. Now we have comments and requests of the council. We'll start with Councilwoman Messmer.
Thank you, Mayor. The Easter egg extravaganza is going to be at the Veterans Park on Saturday from 9 to 11. And we also are having the Spring Bazaar at the Ethel Burger Center from 9 to 3. And then I'd like to wish everybody a happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Go to Councilman Johnson.
Thank you. I just have two items. Just to report that the Economic Development Commission met on March 20th, and they've been tasked with two things. First of all, we have a document here called Plan for Prosperity from 2018, and it's been due for a redo for quite a while. So that is what the commission is going to be working on over the next couple of months. Additionally, we received a presentation from Diana Cameron regarding the recognition for veteran, women's, and minority-owned businesses for this coming year. And we're going to continue to improve that recognition. Additionally, we discussed with Dan Valley Sonora Fest, which is kind of like in limbo right now. We'd like to have it kicked off, but there's some issues there, especially on the Sonora side. Additionally, the Environmental Stewardship Commission met yesterday, Wednesday, the 27th. Mr. Jones, who's present here today, was voted in as a commission member. Hopefully will be sworn in today.
Wasn't on the agenda today.
No?
No, next meeting.
Next meeting, okay. Next meeting. I didn't read my notes. We have a very lively and engaged group. They've been discussing recycling. I don't know what the interest is in recycling here in Sierra Vista. Right now, it's privatized and not very well participated in. But they've been discussing that as well as water issues. So those are the two issues that the environmental stewardship, and we ran out of time. We always seem to run out of time. But hopefully, additionally, Mr. Spearman, is that his name? Mr. Spearman has been elected as the chair of the Environmental Stewardship Commission. So that's all I have to report, and everybody have a happy Easter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank the Girl Scouts for coming and leading us in the pledge. That was really cool of them to do that. It's always good to see them. I wanted to thank Dr. Rhodes for joining the Transportation Commission. He's the newest member, so I wanted to thank him for doing that. Coming to serve. There's lots of commissions out there, so if anybody wants to get more involved, definitely check that out. There's something for everybody. And if you can always come to the meetings or check them out online just to kind of see what they're all about, kind of go from there. I wanted to also thank, the next Transportation Commission meeting will be May the 1st, which is a Wednesday at 3:30 up here in the conference room. So if you're always, anybody is welcome to come and attend. So definitely check that out. As Mr. Patuchuk said earlier, there's been some various retirements coming up. Earlier today, we attended the Coralie from the animal shelter. She started off as a dog walker. She was a volunteer, and then she became part-time at the shelter, and then she became full-time at the shelter, and has been a huge part of the foundation of what makes the shelter what it is. But it wasn't, and they also brought up how important it is to have the volunteers there. They have the cat room and they have all the dogs, and there's people there that are there for so many different things, taking care of them, showing them love. A lot of the animals there, if it wasn't for the socialization that the volunteers provide, that maybe they wouldn't be adopted. So it's super important to have them, and I wanted to thank them so much. The animals there, they're not able to. They communicate in their own way, and I know that the volunteers they see that and they get that get that sense, and that's very fulfilling. But I just wanted to give a shout out to them, to thank them so much for what they do. It can be a thankless job sometimes. And I wanted to share the quote that we can judge the heart of a person by their treatment of animals. And so I really love to see how much that they care and what they do. So thank you all so much for that.
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am. And Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For our upcoming agenda, as talked to the assistant city manager during the work session, I'd like to add the youth commission put on the agenda for future agenda, talk about the future of it, what it's going to look like, morphing from here on out. Appreciate that. Also like to thank the Girl Scouts. You looked amazing, did a great job here. I've always been a big supporter of your cookies as well. Your dealers find me everywhere they are. And you used to be able to get away with say I don't have any cash, but now they take tap and they're prepared. So they're ready for you. Any they'll take it all. So thank you for that. Since 1917, they got good recipes. Coming up next weekend, Cars for Kids. Up over in the parking lot of Hobby Lobby / Cal Ranch / Dutch Brothers, that area. Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. is registration. So that place gets full of cars. This year, we're going to have a youth category open to people that are teenagers that have cars and want to show them off. Right? Their own category, so they don't have to compete with, somebody's nice 64 Chevy that they've been, hanging on to for years and working on. Just if you're a youth out there that has a teenager that has a car and you want to show it off, come enter it. And the fee is waived for the youth.
Outstanding.
Right? Everybody else has to pay their fee. But,
Okay, yes,
but they went out of the way to help us out. Boys and Girls Club, the FOP, all the police officers involved with that. So I really appreciate them. And hopefully we'll get some entrants. People. So if you know anybody that has a car as a teenager that wants to show it off at the show, have them there at 8 a.m. on Saturday, on the 6th, and they can get in that division. I want to thank. I've been seeing people on Friday just picking up trash. I don't know who you are. Sometimes I'll stop if I have time and I want to I ask people questions, ask their name. But I love that our community does that. I see them out there. Some of them look organized. They have vests on and things like that. So whoever you guys are, thank you, because you're doing great work on Fry. Our city does their part too, but I love that our citizens are out there doing things like that on their own free will. So I really, really appreciate them. Tomorrow, the Gridiron Desert Elite Youth Flag Football League is going to have their end of season celebration on our beautiful Coach Hampton Field, 5 to 9 p.m. That's going to be great. You're going to have multiple games going on that big field. It's going to be a big event, bounce house for the kids. A few celebrities, from what I understand, are going to be there. So it should be a great event on Coach Hampton Field. A few Saturdays ago, I saw some transit personnel taking a CPR class at the fire station. So I really want to thank them for doing that, taking their time to go get CPR qualified, as everybody should. It's always offered on the third Saturday of the month at Fire Station 203. So you can sign up for that, whether you need to do babysitting or whatever you're doing, or you just want to learn a skill. It's important how to work an AED machine and give CPR from infants all the way to adults. So thank you for the transit personnel that were there doing that. Because, they have our citizens on their buses all day, so it's an important skill to have. Somebody mentioned the retirement, so I just want to thank them as well. People like Butch Boutte, been around forever. You see them doing extra things like coaching sports at Buena, really, really impacting our youth for a lot of years. So my hat's off to them for putting all that time in at work, but also on their off time, volunteering in our community and really, really making a difference. Same thing Miss Cora Lee as well. Everybody knows her at the shelter. Everybody in the area that has anything to do with animals knows her. So hats off to her for what she's done. And people like that, it's just in them. And I know they'll be back volunteering in some form or fashion. So I know we'll see them again. The park looks great. It's getting ready for the Easter celebration. So thank you to the park staff for doing it, making it look great. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out there. And then speaking of Boys and Girls Club, we had the Passport to Manhood lunch the other day, the culmination. So it's a really good event. It's a really cool thing that was sponsored by Dr. Squatch, which is a men's hygiene line. So they applied for this grant. They got it. The first Boys and Girls Club ever to get it from Dr. Squatch. They also had some local donors that sponsored it. So you had some young men that vouched to make to this program. It was 8 weeks, I think. And just, it's called the Passport to Manhood, just kind of learning how to be a man. And I love that they're doing that for our youth, and I want to help out any way we can. So it's good to see the mayor out there, too.
Yes, sir.
Doing his thing, and a lot of other local leaders were out there, so appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to Councilman Billings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to start off with, if you know me, this is hard for me to say,
What's up?
but let's root on Arizona, who's playing Clemson right now in the Sweet 16. So
They were losing.
it's tied right now, but I'm not watching that up here on council. And then I want to thank Pastor McPeak for blessing us tonight. It's always a pleasure being when we get to have him come in. It's a joy to see the Girl Scouts come in this week and celebrate the year of the Girl Scouts, 112th, as we close out Women's History Month. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And the Girl Scouts teaches that to those young ladies who then become outstanding leaders and members of our society and our community. So I want to thank, first and foremost, the leaders, the Girl Scout leaders that were here and around the city and the country for doing what they do, shaping future leaders and future CEOs and presidents one day. And then I just want to say Happy Easter, everybody, and have a blessed weekend.
Thank
That's
you,
it,
sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Somehow it made it to me without anyone mentioning the meet and greet today. So that most of us were at, and it was at the farmers market. We were there for a couple hours, just making ourselves available to the public. We had a lot of Sierra Vistans approach us, have questions about the park, Route 90, stuff like that. We met some visitors to Sierra Vista, which was cool that they're making their way to the farmers market, and a bunch of new Sierra Vistans. And I also want to thank the Girl Scouts. I recognized one of them from the 6th grade field trip that played the part of our director of public works over there, because they all got to choose a seat when we came into this room. And I was a Girl Scout too, William. So you're right about that. Future leaders. And I also want to wish everyone a happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Well, happy retirement to Deputy Chief Boutte, and also congrats to Deputy Chief Armin Lewis now, as he goes and fills some big shoes. And also happy retirement to Corey Lee Kneppel. Thank our city manager for the knowledge that he has on yesterday. Some things he says, I was wondering how you can keep track of just water and what every agency in the county does. It's just remarkable. And sir, I just want to say publicly, you are a treasure jewel to Sierra Vista. So thank you. Also, happy Resurrection Day and happy Easter to all those And we will see you back here, same bat channel, and for how many
1,000?
that are watching on YouTube?
I'm waiting for you to say like and subscribe.
You're dismissed.